As a data steward, what I'm interested to understand is what is available to me to use within our domains of information, so within our data vault platform. And to do that, we've set up the platform with essentially data products as an approach. So if we go to wind and battery performance reporting, which is a set of data products, what we're able to see are all of the reports that come together and the data that comes together to describe the things available for people to report on and use across the Snowflake platform inside Data Vault. So our wind and KPI monthly table, which is one of the tables that I'm going to be interested in to find out its journey, sitting with a data quality score. I can see curated data elements inside of it, so I know what the fields are and I've got a very clear business description of what these things are, as well as the data quality on a field by field basis and what's happening and what the latest set of that data quality is. What we're trying to get to is a position whereby our users, once they find the information sets that they're available to use, are then able to follow a checkout process where they will then walk through a set of processes to, one, describe the context. So these are, again, curated context lists. So in this instance, for business intelligence, I want to use this for my wind and battery performance reporting. I would then define that it's going to go to Snowflake because that's the only access point at the moment for the set of products, and then any extra information that is required, such as, I don't know, wind and battery exploration. And then next, now essentially we have a set of accessible, controlled and restricted policies. So you've got to read through the policies, ensure you're comfortable that you will follow how we're going to use this data and comply with it. We then submit that order. Now, at the point we've submitted that order, essentially what will be happening, it will generate the order workflow. That workflow will then fire an email into the team who will then look at how they're going to deal with this, whether they place this into a backlog to work between the engineering teams, to work between the data governance teams, and to work between the data analyst teams to understand that an order has turned up in their inbox. They'll need to review that order. In this instance, as I'm admin, I can see that order. I would then go through that information and ask for more information if I need to, or work with the teams on how I would then make that order information available. Now, to get to that position, we've put a lot of information in the background around the metadata and the business data supplied and driven by our business colleagues across the organization to define what is good, what is bad, and what is indifferent, and to describe what the data needs to look like. So before I come back to address the data governance dashboard, I'm going to start with our overview of our domains. So our domains are set up as the business is defined. So we have assets for our France colleagues, for our North American colleagues. In this instance, we're looking at the UK definitions where we are defining business units, and within those business units we have subdomains business units. So we've defined it in this instance as how the business is built. What we're going to look at the moment is the performance domain, particularly inside the performance domain, the wind and battery metrics, which is this set of data here. This is the metrics and the data that underlines the report that you've just seen me checking out. So as we go through this, we can see really clear examples. These again are defined by our business processes through data governance, where we work with our business owners, our data stewards, and what we classify as delegates, the senior leadership team who will manage and run how data is defined. And then within that, the wind and performance metrics, we have a stack of metrics defined by the business and signed off through those performance domains, the data governance domains. And each of these is now a published business definition. Now, what I'm interested in, if I go to my Snowflake data warehouse, in this instance, I'm interested in a particular table called the KPI monthly table. So here we have the KPI monthly table. If I go into the table itself, you'll see it's attached to the wind and performance metrics. It has a data quality score against that table. What I want to know is what data is within it. So we've got the physical defined technical information, but on the right, we have the business descriptive information, which is the information you've just seen in Marketplace. As well as this, what we're now able to do is validate and define what's happening with its data across its entire part of its journey. So we have our staging warehouse and our production warehouse. These tables for the KPI monthly tables are being used by a number of Power BI reports inside Vault. So what I'm going to do is expand the journey either side of this so you can understand where the information is coming from. So we have a whole set of data coming from staging, running through Informatica's CDI process, running into our staging warehouse, coming into here, and what you'll look at is we have a certified asset, which is the one we just looked at up here, with a routing that's been assigned to it. Now, what I can also do, as you all know, is I can overlay our either aggregated data quality score across its staging and part journey. So we know the improvements in quality from staging to production. I can also then say, actually, what I really want to know is what's happening with the physical data that I'm measuring. Where does it transact and where does it go across its entire journey? So what we now can see is field by field, its journey of information from source, which will be far further back in this instance, so bear with me while the source opens up, through to the target reports in Power BI where it's running. Now, I can't show the data quality inside Power BI because it doesn't measure inside Power BI. What we actually measure are the assets that are consumed by Power BI. So I'm just going to go back and we'll zoom in. And what you can now see is if I go down to site code, how site code transitions from a set of SharePoint and Snowflake files and temp files through its entirety of its journey across the KPI monthly manual, which then becomes part of the measures table. So we can now see field by field where information flows and how it transacts across its entire journey from source to target, which essentially allows our analysts to uncover which data is relevant, which data is important, where's it go, where's it ending up, and if I need to then ask for more information that doesn't exist in my Power BI report, how do I go and ask for that information and how do I get access to it? If we now go and look at the data quality, what we can see are we have a number of rules running, and again, you have to bear in mind I'm looking at the production instance at this time, where we've got rule occurrences for the data warehouse, wind and battery, KPIs, and the type of measurements for quality we're checking. So if we take on KPI value accuracy and go and take a look at it, what we'll see is across its period of time, the transaction history. So it's starting to drop off a little bit from a data quality perspective. What I'll then want to do is go and review physically what's happened in the last number of runs. So every day that it runs, what's happening. I'm still getting the same amount of rows. Triggers is essentially the opportunity now to create a data quality failure ticket. That ticket would then appear in my email box to tell me as a steward there's something that's not quite right. You would need to go and investigate it. What we're also able to do is look across the history of when it was scanned, what happened, what the score trends are, and what's going on. So we get the entirety of its journey, the entirety of its history, and we can track from source to target the quality of information that's driving our reporting capability so that our users can now make an informed decision on the data available to them. That same journey can also be tracked from the Power BI report backwards. So in this instance, we are looking at the wind and battery Power BI report. I can see the table by table, how this data tracks backwards through Power BI, through Snowflake data warehouse, through the staging, through Informatica jobs, all the way back to the ultimate source, which is an Informatica job at the very end of this track, job number 1, data ingestion from SharePoint. So it shows me again, field by field, table by table, how our data transitions the enterprise and ends up in the reporting packs for people to use and consume.